Welcome to Ask the Healthcare Advocate live. We're every Friday morning. Sometimes now we're moving to 11, but we talk about healthcare advocacy and health navigation in general and in Israel, answer your specific questions and tackle those broad issues. And so today we are going to talk about the issue of eating disorders, which is, when I say eating disorders, I mean bulimia, anorexia, and also overeating, eating addiction. And for those people whose eating addictions has led them to become morbidly obese, so extremely, extremely overweight, which are all things that people in our life that we know have dealt with, and that needs to be addressed, and that there are resources that you can, resources that you can avail yourselves to. So the first thing I wanted to do is just review, what does that even mean, bulimia, anorexia, because I always thought it was obvious, and then I guess, I don't know, child of the 80s, I don't know, everybody spoke about bulimia and anorexia. And my daughter told me an incident that she had with a friend of hers. Said, oh yeah, when I eat something that I don't think is good for me, I just throw it up. And I told my daughter, I said, you know that that's called bulimia, and that's called an eating disorder. And my daughter was like, oh, because she seemed really okay with it. And I explained to her the really problematic health effects of making yourself throw up over time on purpose, because just like a biological moment here, but when you have the stomach acid coming up through your esophagus on a repeated basis, first of all, it burns the esophagus. It can damage your esophagus. It can give you ulcers. Also, it damages the back of your teeth, your molars, because the acid slowly eats away at your teeth. You can have really significant dental problems, swallowing issues, not to mention that it's obviously like unhealthy mentally. It creates a very problematic relation with food, and you're not getting enough nutrients. So it's not a good thing. It's a dangerous thing practiced by many, many people. And it's important to note, not just girls. In fact, a study that I saw put out by the Ministry of Health a couple years ago talked about the increasing percentage of bulimia and anorexia among religious boys in Israel. So disordered eating in general is something that we need to watch out for. And hi, Fran. And we need to make sure that it's addressed. So first of all, I'll talk about in teens, and then I'll talk about in adults. Just general, if a parent notices that their child is having a different relationship with food, meaning people often with anorexia, they'll take a lot of food on their plate, but you'll notice that they move it around, they'll cut it up, but if you look at the plate at the end of the meal, then they haven't actually consumed a great deal of what's on the plate. So that can be like a warning sign for that if it repeats itself. And it's very, very important for you. If you feel that your child is having an eating disorder, think about how you're going to approach them. And I think if you have the suspicion, it's good to speak with another person, another professional before that, because your children, because there's so many different things going on, and sometimes just confronting head on is not the way to deal with things. Saying, how come you're not eating? How come you're not eating? Or in the case of it, you're eating too much, you're eating too much. Not helpful here. So it's important to take a step back and figure out how you are going to approach it. When I say consult an expert, so I want to talk about now about what our options are. So first of all, we should know that that every major hospital, at least Tel HaShomer and Hadassah and I believe Rambam, have centers specifically, they're psychiatric, they're hospital-based psychiatric wards also have a section on eating disorders. That's for one. Second of all, consulting with a psychiatrist, finding somebody, you might have to shop around a little bit to find someone you like. you try in the kupa, but it could be also that you're going to need to see someone privately just for use, just for consultation. Then if they're a psychiatrist and they're like higher up in the chain in terms of hierarchy, you can get money back from the kupa if you see them on a private level. And also in the kupa, every kupa has a nutritionist. Several nutritionists, and they should also be tried first because sometimes they have helpful advice. Not always, just with everything you have to sort of, be a good consumer, but it's definitely a resource that you should definitely try out and consult. And so if your child needs, if they have a severe eating disorder and they need to be hospitalized, so then again, you'll be referred to a psychiatric hospital eventually with the psychiatrist. But hopefully before then you'll have help by finding a therapist in the community specifically who deals with eating disorders. Also on my website, you should check it out when I talked about suicide, but a lot of those references in terms of where you can call for emergency referrals are also helpful here in this case. And okay, so then we have the teens, and then for the adults, if you also, if you feel that your spouse or someone else that you know is suffering from an eating disorder, and they also have recourse, meaning they're also adult departments that deal with eating disorders. And you should also know that, again, as I said, morbid obesity, meaning extremely overweight, is also considered is disordered eating, which also can and needs to be treated, but you should know if the person that you know is older and they have other illnesses as well, that morbid obesity is considered a percentage of disability for Bituach Leumi, and not on its own can the person receive disability payment, but if they have other comorbidities or other illnesses that affect them, then they can get Bituach Leumi while they're going through the process of whatever they need to go through the process. Again, also you should know that a teen with eating disorders, that if they have been hospitalized for, it's considered a psychiatric issue, or they have severe anemia or other severe complications because of an eating disorder, they too are eligible for Bituach Leumi, which can help offset some of the costs that may come up when you're being treated. So just keep that in mind. Okay, I've gone on too long. I'm sure I've bored you all, but thank you so much for joining me for Ask the Healthcare Advocate Live, where we go, and here I even brought my cup of coffee this morning, where you get to ask me your questions, or we talk about important healthcare navigation issues. And just really exciting news that I did not share with you last time. For those of you who joined in a few weeks ago, I gave it was like over a month ago, I did a Facebook live from Malta where I was taking the test, and good news, I passed the health advocate test. So now I am officially a internationally board certified patient advocate, first international. Super exciting because I hope to expand this, and we're talking about offering courses and creating a whole group of people who can be healthcare advocates in Israel and perhaps hopefully eventually in Europe. And also learning how to advocate for ourselves. And that's what I'm going to be doing in the upcoming months, is really developing a course to teach people how to be their own, how we can advocate for ourselves in healthcare situations. So if you're interested in that, let me know. And don't forget also, next Thursday night, I'm doing my first ever webinar, free, on managing Bituach Leumi, what you need to know. So please check in for that too. And if you liked what I had to say today, or mostly, or other things, please take a look at our website, healthadvisewithaz.com, and sign up for a newsletter where you can get these interesting tidbits and other interesting information and blog posts every week. So thanks very much, and take care.